In a forgotten corner of the world stood two distant villages, separated by oceans, yet tied by an ancient curse. People in both places whispered about a strange, midnight bell that rang even though neither village had any visible bell tower. The sound appeared only to the chosen ones, and whoever followed it was never seen again. One night a boy named Ayaan from the eastern village heard the bell louder than ever before. It echoed through the silent trees behind his home, vibrating deep inside his chest as if calling him by name. No one else heard it, not his parents nor the neighbors, and that frightened him even more. Meanwhile, in the western village, a girl named Lila was sleepless. She lived beside an abandoned wooden chapel, long sealed by the elders, yet she felt the bell vibrating through the walls. Dust fell from the ceiling, the floorboards shifted, and the locked chapel door creaked open on its own even though no wind was blowing outside. At exactly the same moment, the bell from Ayaan's forest and the bell from Lila's chapel rang together with an identical rhythm. 3 slow chimes followed by one long final note. Ayaan stepped into the dark forest and found a narrow path illuminated by an unnatural blue shimmer floating above the ground. It pulsed like a heartbeat. Lila, drawn by the same force, entered the chapel and found the altar glowing with swirling blue smoke. Both walked forward without understanding why their feet were moving. A cold surge of air wrapped around them and the world began to distort, their vision bending like ripples of water. Ayaan felt the forest dissolve into mist while Lila watched the chapel walls melt into darkness. They were stepping through the same invisible doorway, though, separated by thousands of miles. The bell rang one last time, louder than thunder, and the light swallowed them whole. When the glow disappeared, both villages fell silent. Elders from each side looked toward the forest and the chapel with terror in their eyes because they knew the ancient warning had returned after 100 years. The path has opened. The chosen ones have crossed. A cold, trembling sensation wrapped around Ayaan as he opened his eyes and found himself standing in a place that looked nothing like his village. There were tall, crooked trees stretching toward a sky that had no stars, no moon, only a dim gray glow as if dawn was scared to arrive. The ground beneath his feet felt soft like ash, and every step left a smoky footprint that faded slowly. Before he could call out for help, he heard another voice, faint but real, whispering from behind the trees. It was Lila, who had emerged from the opposite side of the strange realm, confused and terrified, wondering why she could still hear the echoes of the same bell inside her head. When they finally saw each other, they froze, not because they recognized one another, but because the air between them shifted like an invisible sheet being pulled aside. The moment their eyes met, the entire forest quivered, as if this place had been waiting for them for years. Neither spoke, yet both felt an unseen force pushing them forward toward a narrow, glowing path. The path pulsed with the same blue aura that dragged them from their homes, swirling slowly like trapped mist. As they walked deeper, the trees around them began whispering. It wasn't the wind. It was actual voices, broken, stretched voices calling their names. Ayaan covered his ears, but the sound slipped through like water through fingers. Lila tried to run, but the path bent with her, refusing to let her escape. Suddenly, a massive stone gate rose ahead, carved with symbols neither had ever seen. The gate looked ancient, alive, breathing slowly as if waiting to open. Beneath the symbols, one line glowed brighter than the rest, forming a message they somehow understood even without reading the language. 2 lands, 2 souls, 1 debt. As soon as the words formed, the ground cracked open and a shadowy figure appeared. Behind the gate, a tall, faceless shape with arms stretching like smoke. Its presence froze the air. The bell rang again, not from above, but from inside the figure's chest, vibrating the entire realm with a mournful tone. Ayaan grabbed Lila's hand, and the moment they touched, the gate slammed shut with a thunderous roar. The shadow's voice rose like a storm. You have crossed the path. Now the debt must be paid. Ayaan and Lila stepped back in horror as the forest behind them began to collapse into darkness. There was no way home, no doorway, no escape. Only the gate, the shadow, and the haunting truth that they had been chosen for, something far more terrifying than either village had ever known. The forest behind Ayaan and Lila dissolved into a black wave as the shadow advanced, its form stretching across the cracked ground like living smoke. They clutched each other as the stone gate shuddered violently, the symbols flickering like dying embers. The shadow's voice spread through the air without a mouth, without a face, yet it spoke with a weight that crushed their breath. For a century the path remained closed, sealed by the sacrifice of those taken before you. But the balance is broken again. One must stay so the other may return. The words sliced through their minds like icy blades. Ayaan stepped back, shaking his head, refusing to believe what he heard. Lila felt her knees weaken as the truth dawned. This realm demanded a life, not out of cruelty, but as an ancient rule that held the two, distant villages in fragile safety. The ground cracked open beside them, revealing a swirling pit of shadows, whispering like 1,000 lost voices begging to be freed. Ayaan looked at Lila, fear burning in his eyes. Yet something else flickered within, courage forming despite the terror. Lila whispered that neither of them should stay, that the realm couldn't decide their fate. But the shadow grew taller as if feeding on their fear. "Choose," it commanded, the entire sky trembling. Ayaan stepped forward, offering himself, insisting Lila deserved to return because she had been dragged here without warning. But Lila pulled him back fiercely, refusing to let him sacrifice himself. The moment their hands locked, the blue aura around the gate burst into bright flames, swirling around them like a protective storm. The shadow recoiled, hissing in pain as the symbols on the gate blazed with a new light. The realm began shaking as if awakening from a long sleep. The glowing path behind them reappeared, flickering but open. Realizing the shadow's power weakened when they chose each other instead of fear, they ran toward the path while the shadow screamed, its voice splitting the sky. Darkness chased them, swallowing the ground piece by piece, but the light from the gate pushed it back just enough for them to escape. The moment they stepped onto the path, the world twisted again, the air thinning, the ground rising, and with a thunderous crack they burst back into their own lands. Ayaan into the forest, Lila into the chapel, each collapsing as the final bell echoed once more. When they awoke the next morning, the path was gone, the gate sealed forever, and the villages whispered another prophecy. When two souls choose unity over fear, the realm loses its claim. But deep in the unseen darkness, a faint voice murmured, promising it would heal and wait for new footsteps. The curse was weakened, not broken, and the forgotten realm was not finished with the world.